I have seen what war does to people.
Fueled with the terror of becoming prey. See how quickly we become predator?
I love a good story about the creation of a villain, what made him who he is now today. I especially love it when we get to see some of the instances of when he could have chosen differently to become something else. This is exactly what we get in the Hunger Games prequel, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I think there's a natural goodness born into us all.
No.
No, really.
After
Either
everything
cross
you've
that
seen
line
out there in the world.
into evil. Or not. It's our life's work to stay on the right side of that line.
I often like to compare the movie to the book, but that's not what I'm going to do here because I feel like they just really did such a good job. I love the book. I love the movie. Suzanne Collins was a producer in it, and I feel like they really stuck to the theme of the book. They did an excellent job. So I don't want to break that down too much because there really weren't a lot of differences anyways. Like there were some little things that were important for us viewing it instead of reading it. Like they had to do a prologue for us to understand the horrors of the war that the Snow family experienced instead of having it piecemeal to us like we received it in the book. Or, for instance, there was a change in how a tribute killed somebody. And I read in an interview that one of the reasons for this was because they had to keep this rated for teens. And to do this, they couldn't have a whole lot of gore. And so they were working on evoking a lot of emotion instead. And I really actually appreciate this. This is something that I like to see, is more about the emotion. Which brings me to the next thing that I really want to talk about the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, is that it made me feel the feels. Reading the book, watching the movie, I felt so much. Yes, there was a slightly different experience with the movie and the book, but overall I feel the theme was there and it just made me feel similar emotions experiencing the movie as I did reading the book. So we're given this character, Coriolanus Snow, and he's in a rough situation. As a child, he saw the horrors of war, and now he's trying to help his family succeed in a society where they were once great, but now this family is struggling. We see the trials and struggles that Corio went through, and we can feel some sympathy for him, almost forgetting about the evil President Snow that we know from the Hunger Games trilogy. We see the moments when young Corio was good, and the question could be posed, was Coriolanus a victim of circumstance? I don't know, was Napoleon a victim of circumstance? I would love to hear in the comments below, what do you think? Was Coriolanus a victim of circumstance? After hearing his story, do you think who Snow became is because of what he was forced into as a youth? I really love how we as the reader or viewer get to know this young Coriolanus and see these instances where life was hard and where he made the choices that led not only him, but the whole of Panem to be what they were at the start of the Hunger Games. I mean, how powerful is it to see that many of this man's choices made things worse for not only a handful of individuals that he interacted with, but also their entire country. So I'm trying to talk about all this without giving a lot of spoilers. So now I'm going to go on to talking about Lucy Gray, who I just love her. I think she's such a compelling character. It's so amazing how she just has this love for life and she brings joy to others around her while she's just trying to survive herself. And I really think she has some similarities to Katniss even, that they're both thrown into these games without wanting to become these idols for the games. They just want to survive and live their life, as opposed to some of these other participants who, you know, they're in it for the fight and the glory. But both of their future lives were hugely affected by them having participated in the games. It ruined them. I mean, shouldn't it destroy an individual having participated in these awful games where they're forced to try to choose their own lives over that of another child's? So the one thing that I will say in regards to the book compared to the movie is that I didn't love the ending when it comes to Lucy Gray and Coriolanus's relationship. And there's just something about this ending of, I didn't feel that it portrayed it right of how the book made me feel. And I really think that that's because this is what movie producers are doing when they're taking a book, they're interpreting the writer's words and how it made them feel and how they think it is. And so that's what we're all doing too. And that's why I think a lot of people really get upset with movies, is they're like, no, this is not what I imagined. This is not what I felt. What do you think? Did they do a good job in conveying what you felt and saw in your mind reading the book? Did they do that in the movie? But ultimately, what the question is, I feel, at the end of this all, is what do you do with what you felt? Whether it was from the book or the movie that caused you to feel whatever you felt, what do you do now? I love this about children's literature, and this really is children's literature, even though it is enjoyed by so many adults and it has all these intense subjects. It is shelved in the young adult section, which is a children's book, and so therefore children's literature. So what did you think? What is the message, and what will you do with that message? If you enjoyed this video and you like hearing about different children's books, if you're looking for books for kids in your life, please take a moment, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and come back and keep getting more great book recommendations.